I don't. I haven't had that one yet.
Yeah, right. Not yet. They say it's how we get old.
Trust me. I don't. It's not. I'm not creaking as much as some people, but I can definitely tell I'm not. I'm trying to hold on. I got to find some other physical activity since it's getting too cold for bike riding.
Yeah.
And I got a treadmill. I just got to get off my butt and use it. I wanted to do that. Facebook. Youngstown Studio.
All right. 5:05.
All the way down.
Yeah, we are streaming. I'm going to start off with my laptop.
Okay. Hell no. What is all that? No. Second. Damn it. Well, where is December 1st? I can't find, I just want to give the, I can never find myself. Okay, never mind. We'll do what we can. I just wanted to give the November 12th. Shoot.
I would maybe refresh the page. It might show up.
Okay, never mind. Let's get going.
Okay.
I wanted to try to, it seems like I'm always at the bottom. Hard to find.
That must be on your news.
November 5th.
On my laptop,
Fred.
you're like the first one. And on this one,
Casey. Shit.
Yeah.
Ratio. All right, I don't see it. I mean, I could go to the old one. I don't think that'll do it. Share.
I can take a look if you want.
Yeah, well, let's just get going.
Okay.
I'm sorry. But I'm just trying to show you the way they cover things. Get out there. Having said that, this is something I seldom do. We as a country are taking this seriously. It's still the Democratic Party. Keep your eyes on the prize. And welcome. I'm Mo Ray, and this is The Other Side of Talk, and glad to be with you today. A lot to talk about. I'm going to adjust that mic just a bit, and well, a lot going on, and the number here is 330-595-1600 if you'd like to talk. This is where you get in, where you fit in, and I'd like to hear your comments. Talking about what else, the president and his continuing nonsense, and it's just getting more and more bizarre by the minute, and I don't even know where to start. I think a good place to start, though, I think there was an election official named Gabe Sterling. He is the voting system implementation director for the state of Georgia. And you've probably seen this clip a few times, but I think he just makes some good points, because what he's saying is this thing has gone too far. The president's nonsense. He lost. Any way you look at it, 30 plus court cases, multiple recounts. His court cases have all been kicked out with the exception of one that gave some of his people better access to watch the tabulation process. Other than that, he's been a loser. In fact, Donald Trump lost so much, and I probably used this already, Donald Trump lost so much in Michigan that they ought to start calling Joe Biden Ohio State. But but seriously, folks, let's take a look, though, at the comments of Gabe Sterling in Georgia.
Because it has all gone too far. All of it. Joe DeGenova today asked for Chris Krebs, a patriot who ran CISA, to be shot. A 20-something tech in Gwinnett County today has death threats and a noose put out saying he should be hung for treason because he was transferring a report on batches from an EMS to a county computer so he could read it. It has to stop. Mr. President, you have not condemned these actions or this language. Senators, you have not condemned this language or these actions. This has to stop. We need you to step up, and if you're going to take a position of leadership, show some. My boss, Secretary Raffensperger, his address is out there. They have people doing caravans in front of their house. They've had people come onto their property. Tricia, his wife of 40 years, is getting sexualized threats through her cell phone. It has to stop. This is elections. This is the backbone of democracy, and all of you who have not said a damn word are complicit in this. It's too much. Yes, fight for every legal vote. Go through your due process. We encourage you, use your First Amendment. That's fine. Death threats, physical threats, intimidation. It's too much. It's not right. They've lost the moral high ground to claim that it is. I don't have all the best words to do this because I'm angry. And the straw that broke the camel's back today is, again, this 20-year-old contractor for a voting system company just trying to do his job. Just there. In fact, I talked to Dominion today, and I said he's one of the better ones they got. His family's getting harassed now. There's a noose out there with his name on it. It's not right. I've got police protection outside my house. Fine. You know, I took a higher profile job. I get it. Secretary ran for office. His wife knew that too. This kid took a job. He just took a job. And it's just wrong. I can't begin to explain the level of anger I have right now over this. And every American, every Georgian, Republican and Democrat alike should have that same level of anger.
It's kind of hard to believe that's where we are with this, where this person he's very upset because he's having people that he knows who are being threatened by these people, who are being incited by the president's nonsense. Let's call it what it is, the president's lies. Donald Trump lost this election by any metric you can look at. And for him to continue this is just totally absurd. Now you even have people like Lindsey Graham saying it's time for him to put up or shut up, because it is. Because he's playing games, and Mr. Sterling is correct. If he continues in this vein, how long before one of his really radical followers takes it out on somebody involved with the election system? There's no problem, at least not a massive problem, as the president describes. Think about it. Every recount he's had, Biden's gained votes, if anything. This is not working out the way he wants it to. He will not be able to rewrite history, despite the fact he keeps acting like, you got to believe in his heart of hearts, Donald Trump knows that he lost. Why he insists on continuing this is just basically what we've been seeing from this president. Let's remember, months before this election, he would never commit to accepting the results. So that was always out there. But I don't think any of us thought it would go this far. I don't think any of us thought we'd be almost 3 weeks after the election, if not more. In fact, wait a minute. Well, almost a month after the election, and the president is still trying to say that this is some type of fraud. I would ask the president, why did 30 judges decide you had nothing? Why did it wasn't 30 judges, it was 30 different cases that were thrown out. In some cases, there were federal judges, a team of federal judges. In one case, 3 different judges who were all Republicans. They said, you got nothing. These guys get before the cameras and they spout their nonsense, much as the president does. But when it really comes down to business, when they have to present their evidence, they have no evidence to present. But I wanted to follow up, and this clip is a little long, but bear with me. And once again, if you'd like to break in, and let's see, well, Randy's watching. Well, thanks for watching, Randy. And anybody else who'd like to join or call, you can do so at 330-595-1600. I'd love to hear from you. I'd like to hear your comments, whether you agree or disagree with what I'm saying. But I don't see how any American can disagree with the fact that this is dangerous. This is putting our election system in question where it need not be. You have a president who is a tyrant. When Mr. Krebs, the guy from Homeland Security, said that this was the safest election he'd ever seen, what did he get for his trouble? He got fired. That's what he got. And then the president's own attorney general, the guy who's usually in his pocket, Bob Barr, pardon me, is it Bob Barr? No, yes, it is Bob Barr, isn't it?
Last name Barr sounds familiar.
Barr sounds familiar. I'm sorry, you got it. It's been a long day, folks. I'll do my homework there. But Attorney General Barr says that there is no evidence of massive fraud. So the president is once again flailing. And don't be surprised if Bob Barr is sent packing soon, because one thing this guy, the president of the United States, doesn't like is the truth, especially when it doesn't support his narrative. But let's look at a follow-up with Mr. Gabe Sterling from the Georgia election board, and he is talking to Erin Burnett on her show on CNN called Up Front. She asked some interesting questions, and there's also some other information about related things that are connected to the president's comments.
I want to go now to the man who gave that poignant and passionate speech, Gabe Sterling. He is the voting system implementation manager in Georgia. And Gabe, I always tell people, again, it shouldn't matter, but in the world we're in now, it's important to note you happen to be a Republican. And I want to get to what you said, but first, what Sidney Powell said, who was an attorney for the president, now former, but she's out at this Stop the Steal rally in your state. She says, quote, "I would encourage all Georgians to make it known you will not vote at all until your vote is secure." So she's telling people not to vote in the Senate runoffs. I mean, how detrimental is this to your party and your state?
It's crippling. It's the exact thing. Well, let's face it, Senator Loeffler and Senator Perdue were forced by President Trump to ask for my boss, Secretary Raffensperger's resignation. Otherwise, the implicit threat was going to be that he would do 2 tweets and torpedo their campaigns. But we're having the same outcome either way. I'm not going to say unfortunate. It's terrible. It's wrong. They literally in Georgia, you had the most secure vote you've had in 20 years. So the first time with paper again. So I think she's right. You should vote when your vote's secure. Your vote is secure.
Well, and I'm glad you just said what you just said, because you've said it before on the show. I keep trying to make sure people understand. The most secure election you've had, there is a paper trail for every ballot. The rest of this is disproven conspiracy theories. But yet these rallies are going on, right? They keep gathering people. Today, hundreds of people at that rally. And I want to play a little bit more about of what we heard today, Gabe, at the rally.
They have fought so hard to get rid of President Trump and tried every dirty, nasty, evil, illegal trick in the book to do it. Yeah, it is pure evil. Georgia was absolutely full of it. Rife with voter fraud.
You listen up, Gabriel. You're not going to sell our votes to China.
Your reaction, Gabe?
I'd read that in a tweet. Somebody told me that Mr. Wood mentioned me by name. Crazy. It's insanity. It's just so baseless from any sense of reality. It's detached from reality. And yes, I'm a Republican, and I'm going to stay a Republican. I'm going to fight for the sanctity and sanity of a party that has been a big part of America, and I've been fighting for it since I was 15 years old. And Lynn Wood, the bizarre irony is he has not voted in a Republican primary since 2004. He's been voting in Democrat primaries. So I sort of question the underlying thought process beyond that. encouraging anybody not to vote is ridiculous. I can't even, I guess, Aaron, I've gotten to a point now where nothing is incredible to me anymore. The president has to know at this point he's lost, as you pointed out earlier. We've done a regular count. We've done a hand tally, which, if you remember, the first conspiracy theory was that the Dominion machines were flipping votes.
Right.
And of course, our hand tally, dead spot on. And now we're doing a third recount, which again is essentially dead spot on. And another underlying part of the Dominion issue they have is in Wisconsin, in the counties where the Dominion machines were worked, President Trump got 59% of the vote. In the counties in Pennsylvania where the Dominion machines were used, President Trump got 52% of the vote. I mean, none of this makes sense with the flimsiest of looks at any level of reality. And it's just, and the problem is there's people who believe it. And we know that.
And sorry, that was a long clip, but I think there was some good information in there. I did want you to see how he reacted to that. Let's read some of the comments. Debbie says, Rivers and Verb perpetuating Trump fraud. I don't listen but 5 minutes. Very frightening to have that. Yes, it is. And I'm going to tell you something. I actually could have filled in for Ron Verb the past Monday, and I didn't. I think the next time, if there's a next time that I'm offered, I will. And I'll just go into the belly of the beast. And I don't care. These wackos need to be talked to. They need to be told about the truth. I want to challenge them. I mean, I'm sick of the nonsense. This is dangerous to our democracy. And, and I'm sorry, I'm going to say it just like I feel it. I will never forgive the people that put this nut in the White House in the first place, because you are what Hillary Clinton called you. You are deplorable, especially those of you who continue to support this fool. The world is watching this. We are losing our moral high ground. How can we tell any other country about democracy and peaceful transitions when we have a president who is acting like this whack job? And how about his supporters who are threatening people, who are, it's just ridiculous. That the guy from Georgia, he shouldn't be getting phone calls. He shouldn't need police protection. And certainly a 20-year-old staffer who is doing his job. When they, these people don't even know what they're looking at. They probably can't even figure their smartphone out, but they saw him putting a thumb drive into a computer, as was explained by the election official, to transfer some information and take it to another computer. There were no votes being transferred or anything. I'm going to replay a clip the other day with the guy from Dominion election systems. That is the people who make the machines. The voting machines are not, they are made in America. They are made in Canada. And yeah, there are some that are made in Serbia, but none are made in China. China is the lie that's being told. And he explains how it's impossible to manipulate these things. You heard of the Mr. Sterling. When they do the hand count of the votes, if there had been any funny business, the hand count would have picked it up. This is not rocket science, folks. And what bothers me is that you have all these experts, Democrats and Republicans, judges, election officials, but none of that's good enough. You Trumpers think that your man walks on water and he's the truth and the light, and everybody else is lying. The man who's got 20,000 or more documented lies, depending on where you look, that's who you trust over the institutions that have served this country well for almost 250 years. And it's a damn shame. I thought the information superhighway would make us smarter, but it's only made us dumber. Just like the anti-maskers and the COVID skeptics. This has shown me that the pandemic has shown me that America has an epidemic of dumbass. And there's no other way to put it. It's just a shame. And some of these people, they're educated. They're not just a bunch of doofuses. There are people, even in the medical field, that are questioning the numbers on COVID, that are, they don't quite believe it. It doesn't seem right to them. 260,000 plus Americans dead, and you're doubting this? It is absurd. But let me read some more. Let's see. DL says, good afternoon, sir, and viewers. Good afternoon to you. Joellen said, she says, yes, please, we need some sense on 570 WKBN. You know what? If I do it, will some of you people call? I mean, I'm sorry to get upset about it, but that's what used to really upset me. I'm sick of the pat on the back on Facebook. If I put my ass out there, will you pick up the damn telephone and back me up? I don't want to go in there and be beat up by these idiots. And if I sound like I'm upset, I am. I'm sick of it. That's why I stopped doing the show for 2 months. Oh, yeah. Whoa, great job, Mo. Yeah, you tell them. No, you tell them. You pick up that damn phone and call me. Not so much here because the audience is smaller. But if I go, I'll announce it on Facebook if I do it. If I go in there, I want to hear from you. Let them know that we exist. This is a red state, but they've got to know that there are people out there that don't believe this craziness. There are people out there that know that Donald Trump is a liar and a fool, and the only fraud is Donald Trump himself. Let's go further. Have you had a gander at Parler? That is a real festival of folly when it comes to political expression, personal opinion. Well, I'll tell you right now, I haven't looked at Parler. I'm not interested in looking at Parler. I might take a look. For those of you who don't know, Parler it's trying to become the conservative version of Twitter. Since the president keeps telling lies and his lies keep getting labeled because they are lies, so he's looking at alternative outlets. When Fox News calls the election for calls the election for Joe Biden, it's because Joe Biden won the election. It's not because Fox News is suddenly turned into a bunch of lefties. There are facts, even in this age of what Kellyanne Conway called alternative facts. No, sometimes there's just real facts. Sometimes the numbers don't lie. Sometimes if you do multiple recounts and you still get the same result, if not more votes for Joe Biden, that tells me that Joe Biden won. And by the way, my former colleagues at those other stations, they're doing a severe disservice to this area. That's why I've lost all respect for them. One in particular, who I won't mention by name. Because they're not idiots. They're smart people, and they're putting this nonsense out on the airwaves. I don't know if they if they think they're entertaining the crowd, if they're telling the people what they want to hear, if they're trying to get ratings. That's usually not the way talk radio works, though. Usually people are telling you just what they feel. A lot of people say, oh, somebody must tell these guys to say that. Nobody tells anybody anything, because then it wouldn't be believable. It wouldn't be real. Do you feel the passion in my voice right now? Nobody told me to say what I'm saying today, and nobody's telling those guys at 570 to say what they say. They must really believe it. But that doesn't make it true. Let's see. Julie says, do it, Mo. I've been blocked on WKBN. Can I call you? Yeah, let's see if the phone works today, Julie. Give me a call at 330-595-1600. If you get through, and let's see if it works better than it did the other day. Let's see. If you go, I'll go with you. We can have some fun with it. Thank you, DL. Just let me know when. Thank you. And Debbie says, oh, my goodness, Julie, hero. You know, I missed Matt. Where was Matt? He scrolled. What did Matt have to say there? Yeah, Matt said, go do it, Mo. Yeah, okay. And I will. But like I said, if I do it, don't leave me hanging out there by myself to let all these ignorant people with their ignorant views tear me apart. I used to walk out of that place feeling like I'd done 10 rounds with Tyson. I mean the younger Tyson, not the guy you saw the other night. But by the way, that was interesting. Mike Tyson said he smoked a joint before the festivities. Same old Tyson. Yeah, I always remember that his biggest regret was the night Tupac was killed. Tupac came to watch him fight in Vegas, and Tupac wanted to smoke a joint with him, and he declined, and he always regretted that. To each his own, Mike, to each his own. But There's just so much to talk about here, and I want to keep going here. Let's see what the original thing. Let's see. So you've got all this information being put out. You've got Attorney General Barr, for gosh sakes, Trump's Attorney General, saying no evidence of massive fraud. Yet the president put together a slick little presentation. Of course, as usual with Donald Trump, that's the other reason I can't wait for Biden to get there. Biden will make a quick speech and be done. Trump goes on and on and on, doesn't say anything. The entire speech was 46 minutes, but I'm only going to show you a little over 2 minutes of it. You'll get the idea. This is what Donald Trump, this was his response. It's like none of this information, like he hasn't lost a single court case, like he hasn't lost a single recount. Listen to the president. This is his version of where we are.
Thank you. This may be the most important speech I've ever made. I want to provide an update on our ongoing efforts to expose the tremendous voter fraud and irregularities which took place during the ridiculously long November 3rd elections. We used to have what was called Election Day. Now we have election days, weeks and months, and lots of bad things happened during this ridiculous period of time, especially when you have to prove almost nothing to exercise our greatest privilege, the right to vote. As president, I have no higher duty than to defend the laws and the Constitution of the United States. That is why I am determined to protect our election system, which is now under coordinated assault and siege. For months leading up to the presidential election, we were warned that we should not declare a premature victory. We were told repeatedly that it would take weeks, if not months, to determine the winner, to count the absentee ballots, and to verify the results. My opponent was told to stay away from the election. Don't campaign. We don't need you. We've got it. This election is done. In fact, they were acting like they already knew what the outcome was going to be. They had it covered, and perhaps they did, very sadly for our country. It was all very, very strange. Within days after the election, we witnessed an orchestrated effort to anoint a winner, even while many key states were still being counted. The constitutional process must be allowed to continue. We are going to defend the honesty of the vote by ensuring that every legal ballot is counted and that no illegal ballot is counted. This is not just about honoring the votes of 74 million Americans who voted for me. It's about ensuring that Americans can have faith in this election and in all future elections.
Okay, let's do a quick fact check on that for one thing. And yeah, can you show that? It's interesting. Now, the speech we just played, underneath that speech, there is, are we watching? Yeah, yep. Underneath that, you see that? This claim about election fraud is disputed. It's a damn shame that the president of the United States has to have a disclaimer put up because he's lying so damn much. Let's look at it for what it is. This election was going to be different because there were a record number of voters, there were a record number of paper ballots because we are in the middle of a pandemic. And for this president to act like he expected everything to be sold up on election night when we had been told for weeks, if not months, that it would not be that way because of these extreme circumstances that we're enduring right now. For him to act like he doesn't know what's going on. Well, here are the facts. It has nothing to do with what he just said. 80% of the states have certified their votes, okay? After checks and rechecks, President Trump paid about $3 million for the recount in Wisconsin that garnered Joe Biden 300 plus votes. So, hey, thanks, pal. Nice investment for your money. You know why you can't find the fraud? Because the fraud's not there. And, you know, and Debbie, I wish we could. They should take him out now because he does, before he does any more damage. Yeah, I wish we could do that. I wish we could do that. because he's got, I believe we're at 49 days now. A lot can happen in 49 days. You see, he just put some leases up in Alaska and some very nice, some pristine natural areas. We're kicking butt with fracking and everything else we're doing. We don't need to drill there. But he's going to throw all his pals a bone on the way out. He knows he lost. So he's going to start playing all these crazy games. Let's see if he fires Barr, by the way. And in fact,
Got a call?
looks like we've got a call. Let's see if we can answer that call. By the way, if you'd like to call, the number is 330-595-1600. I'd love to hear from you. Let's see if I can hear from you. Caller?
Hello?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Oh, is this Julie?
This is Julie.
All right, Julie, what's on your... Go ahead.
I was calling about the Voter Fraud issue and also about the WKBN 57 thing. And I just listen to it probably every morning. I listen to the whole thing because, I don't know, because I have nothing better to do, I guess.
Could I just throw something in real quick?
Sure.
A friend of mine, a Facebook friend of mine said, he rages. He listens, then he rages on Facebook. And I say, why do you listen? It's like going back to an unflushed toilet, expecting it to smell like roses. But anyway, go ahead.
Well, I think it's because I want to know just what people are thinking and what the opposition, I suppose, is thinking and saying. And I try every single day to send texts because they won't take my calls and they won't take my emails. And I don't even know if they're getting my texts. But anyway, just to try to fill in with factual information, clips and things like you do, just to try to spread a little truth, but it's totally ignored. But I think the only way that we're going to get through to these people is just by bombarding them with truth. And I don't really think the Democrats are doing a really good job of that. And I also don't think that, not prosecuting these people or holding them accountable after Biden takes office is a good idea. I really think that people need to know and they need to have the facts about everything that we've been claiming has been going on.
Well, let me ask you this, if I might. We've had other investigations. I mean, this is what kills me. They don't even flinch. When the president of the United States has 7 former associates, 2 former campaign managers, one sitting in prison right now. The other, Steve Bannon, has been charged with fraud on this build your own wall scheme. No matter how, can you imagine if Barack Obama was surrounded by 7 felons? These people would be having a heart attack, yet they don't even blink. These are disgruntled employees, or they barely knew the president. No, they knew the president. And especially in the case of Michael Cohen, his fixer, who was his personal lawyer for 10 years. Why would these people lie? Why are these people in prison? Because obviously they did something wrong. By the way, the president's going to be handing pardons out like free lunch, and not to mention the preemptive pardons. How innocent are you when you've got to make sure that all your adult children are pardoned in advance, even though nobody's been charged with anything? Rudy will be pardoned in advance. Oh, well, I'll save that I've got a clip about that. But go ahead. I'll let you finish up, and then I'm moving on. Go ahead.
Okay, well, I just still think that the only way that we're going to get through, if we get through it all, is to bombard them with the truth. And I'm willing to do that. I'm glad you're doing that. I'm glad this show is there to do that, which is also why I think maybe George needs to call so he can get a little truth.
Yeah, I don't know if he's watching or if he can watch. That was my first. It's not a real block, but we actually banned him, and we've never had to ban anybody. But he was just being a troll. And then I gave him way too much attention. But
Well,
I hear what
speaking
you're.
the truth, Mo. I appreciate it.
I thank you very much, and yeah, I'll put it. I'll definitely put it out if I find out I'm filling in for either Rivers or Verb. I guess I'll try. I will put it out there, and I will hope that at least a few of you, or tell your friends if you're working, hey, somebody who thinks like us is going to be on the radio. It's a damn shame we've come to that point, that basically what my old station has turned into is Hannity, Rush, and two little Rushes. Very little.
Yeah, Alex Jones's.
Yeah. It's just a shame. I never thought that we would go into tinfoil hat territory on what used to be one of the most respected stations in this country. But here we are.
I've listened for 30 years, and that's, I guess, why I can't give up.
Let's see. And who is this clown, Mo who? Well, I'm Mo Ray, sir. You're welcome here. You might be the second person I ban if you're not here to, if you want to ask I got to let you go, Julie. Thanks for the call. Okay, but yeah, and you're welcome to watch, and like I said, Mark, if you get ignorant, you're gone, because I don't have time for it. It's just like talk radio. If you want to exchange some ideas, we'll do that. But if you're just calling to get on my nerves, this is my last recognition of you, unless you say something productive. Okay? I think you probably know who I am anyway. I think I've seen you around Facebook. Maybe I've already blocked you there. But anyway, great job, Julie, says Debbie. Let's take a look at a report from NBC News about everything we've talked about the president's reaction to the remarks of Attorney General Barr saying there is no massive fraud.
As President Trump forges ahead with his push to overturn the results of the election, multiple sources are telling NBC News he's not ruling out the possibility of firing his Attorney General, Bill Barr, although there's no final decision. The news, first reported by the Washington Post, comes just 48 hours after Barr publicly contradicted his boss, telling the Associated Press he has not seen fraud on a scale that could have affected a different outcome in the election. The Post reporting the president's anger at Barr also centers around a DOJ probe into the origins of the Russia investigation and the lack of a public report about that probe before last month's election. Before the news broke, White House Press Secretary Kayleigh McEnany non-committal on Barr's standing when pressed by NBC News.
You still have confidence in Bill Barr?
The president, if he has any personnel announcements, will be the first to know it.
The president, for his part, doubling down on his unsubstantiated claims of widespread election fraud.
This may be the most important speech I've ever made.
In a 46-minute video recorded without press in the room, edited and released by the White House.
Ultimately, I am prepared to accept any accurate election result, and I hope that Joe Biden is as well.
But this morning, growing fractures within the Republican Party. Even top Trump ally, Senator Lindsey Graham, says it's time to show proof.
To the Trump legal team, you're making all these claims, you got to prove it. Doing a video is not proof. You need to take these claims into a court of law and get relief.
All this as efforts to pass another COVID relief bill are seeing new signs of life on Capitol Hill. Democratic leaders Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer signaling support for a new $900 billion bipartisan proposal. The bill would restore an additional $300 in weekly unemployment benefits, provide $160 billion for state and local funding, and $16 billion for vaccine distribution.
I think it's very telling that even one of the president's closest allies, Lindsey Graham, is saying, put up or shut up, Mr. President. I think it's very telling that the president's handpicked attorney general is saying there's no there. And I think it's very telling that the Republicans are remaining silent. You know what? They've really lost. I may never vote Republican again, and I have in the past a few times. But this party has become a party of no integrity. They know who won that election. They know that this is all political theater by this kook, this sore loser, the world's worst sore loser. These are the pettiness and the tininess of this president has never been on display more than it has been in the past few weeks. when he says he'll accept accurate outcome. You know what that means. The only accurate outcome in the mind of Donald Trump is Donald Trump winning. But as I keep repeating, because it needs to be repeated, 30 court cases thrown out, multiple recounts, changed nothing. The President of the United States will not be the President of the United States as of January 20th, 2021. And as far as I'm concerned, that will be mourning in America. That will be the end of the greatest political error, not era, error in the history of this country. This man is an embarrassment. This man doesn't care about America. All he cares about is winning at any cost, because you know that's been his history over the years. That's why he's had so many lawsuits put against him. That's why he's had to have a fixer. Most people who are acting right don't need a fixer because they're not doing anything that needs fixed. Let's also remember that once he becomes a civilian again, Citizen Trump will not be able to hide behind the presidential seal. In the case of Michael Cohen, in that campaign finance case that put, Michael Cohen got 3 years for that. He served about 18 months of it, and he got out early because of COVID-19. But let's remember that there was an unindicted co-conspirator in that case. He was called Individual One. Individual One is Donald Trump. That's only one of the cases that he's looking at. Now, if he preemptively pardons himself, that only covers federal cases. The state of New York is after him for some tax issues. This is what bothers me about this hypocrite. Let me just, a couple of things I'll rattle off. The guy who mercilessly attacked Barack Obama for golfing. This man's tally for golfing, Barack Obama golfed a little over 300 times in 8 years. Donald Trump is coming very close to that number in just 4 years. Not to mention the fact that when he golfs, he's golfing at his own properties. That's right. So we're paying the President of the United States to golf. We're overcharging the Secret Service for their lodging. We're charging them for the golf carts to protect him. And it's all going right back into Donald Trump's pocket because this president never completely divested himself of his businesses. Let's remember the humble days of the 1970s when Jimmy Carter, he divested himself of a peanut farm, for gosh sakes. He wasn't a multimillionaire or a billionaire. He just didn't want anything that looked wrong. This guy doesn't care about looking wrong because his supporters don't care. So I have very little patience for those people. Let me see what else we've got here. Maureen says, I think she means they. I wish they would stop sensationalizing this storyline. I look forward to Trump being gone and not on the news every day, but I'm sure the media will squeeze it out for every dollar it is worth. They made him a political monster, and Jason Voorhees isn't.
Hockey mask.
I know who it is. I know. He's not going anywhere. I always compare him to Freddy Krueger, but you're absolutely correct about that. But here's the thing on that. Citizen Trump will be treated differently than President Trump. Twitter's already made it clear. If all he's going to do is be a troll against Joe Biden every day, after a while, he'll be kicked off like any other person who's engaging in false information. So I look forward to that day. Maybe he will have to go over to Parler or whatever. Because it's just lies. And I hope that the media, I hear what you're saying, but if you think he's going to sit on, there's no doubt that he'll be hanging out with Hannity probably 2 or 3 times a week and calling up Fox and Friends, and they'll have him on. But I'm hoping that at least a few months into the Biden administration, the media will ignore him. Because, this is the same guy when Hillary Clinton made a few comments after she lost. Everybody on the right was saying, why didn't she go away? Let's see if they say that if this guy keeps talking when Biden is sworn in. You can't miss him if he doesn't go away. But if he doesn't go away, that's when the media needs to start missing him. The comments of a former president, if they're only to insult his successor, are not worthy of the news covering. Let's see. DL says, I, for one, am glad that you are still expressing yourself publicly, Mr. Ray. Well, don't worry, that will continue. And as I said, I think the only way to take on the bullies is to punch them in the nose. And I promise you, I've been too nice for too long, trying to find common ground. There is no common ground with crazy. And that's where we are right now. We have this little Napoleon trying to hold on to his power at all cost, not just because of his ego, but because of the reasons I just mentioned, because he knows once he becomes a civilian that he will be able to be gone after by the courts. And brother, I look forward to that day. Now, of course, right-wing media, particularly far right media, it's hard to believe there's two news sources now that are to the right of Fox, OAN, that's the worst, and then Newsmax. And they are still trying to make it like, we're not sure who won this yet. They're perpetuating his BS. But I hope we reach a point where legitimate news sources will move on. Like, okay, you had your time, Mr. Trump. Now, Joe Biden's president, and that's who we're going to pay attention to. And I think that will be better for all concerned. Let's see. Let's take a look at this, by the way. So, Attorney General Barr says that he found no massive fraud. So, of course, Lou Dobbs on Fox Business, who is probably, I think him and Hannity are neck and neck as far as, I guess they share, I don't know, I guess each of them kiss one of his cheeks at the same time, because that's how close they are to the president of the United States. But so if the Attorney General of the United States states that he has found no deep fraud, well, of course, the answer is, according to Lou Dobbs, that he must be a part of the deep state.
Michigan, former state senator, and it's good to have you back with us, Patrick. What I witnessed this afternoon, it was extraordinary. The number of witnesses before that Senate committee talking about fraud, outrageous fraud. And you know what else, Patrick? I believe without exception, every one of those witnesses who was a poll watcher or challenger talked about intimidation by Democrats in that room. And I just want to ask you, could it be that Antifa was running the election for the Democrats in that building? Because it sounded like Antifa tactics.
No, they definitely appear to have been inspired by Antifa, and that doesn't even include what happened with the Wayne County Board of Canvassers and State Board of Canvassers. It's a rule by intimidation, and I'm so proud of everybody who came up today and testified. There's still people that are being threatened.
So let them testify. I mean, all I'm saying is, and by the way, here's the other thing. Some of these so-called hearings, they're taking place in hotel ballrooms. Real hearings don't take place in hotel ballrooms. We've got courthouses for that. And you know why real hearings shouldn't take place in a hotel or a hotel ballroom? Because hotels often have bars. If you think I'm making this up, this was Rudy's star witness the other day, and I believe she made a stop by the hotel bar on the way to that ballroom.
They told me that I would be parking in a parking lot and I would be shuttled in through a shuttle. I called my mother and I told my mother about this, and my mom said, no, absolutely not. You're not doing that. I also had a concern about that because I do have two small young children at home and I needed access to my vehicle. What I witnessed at the TCF Center was complete.
Well, there's that. I don't think that was the clip I wanted to play, but if not, I'll play the clip I plan to play on Tuesday. But Wait a minute. We got time for that. Wait, go back to, forget that guy. Let's go to, where's Pat Robertson? Let's get him up real quick. Because don't worry, folks, this is only, that's short. You know, as far as trying to overturn this election, I personally don't think Donald Trump has a prayer. But Pat Robertson, as always, remember, Pat predicted that Trump would win, that God told him that Trump would win. Apparently, that was another voice in his head. But here's Pat again, telling you what he thinks about the whole election situation.
In the name of Jesus, I bind the spirit of delusion that's come across our land. We will not surrender our nation. We will not give up this great country. And Satan, you cannot have it in the name of Jesus. And I began to pray, and I believe God has heard. And I'm asking everybody in this audience to pray. It isn't over yet. And I do not think, again, he wants to turn this nation over to socialism. And Bernie Sanders and AOC and those people are pure socialists, and they want to take over control of everything. They want to run all the business. They want to run all the industry. They want to redo all the energy we've got. They want to take away your cars. They want to stop people flying airplanes. I mean, it is crazy what they have. We cannot allow that. So let's pray. And what am I hearing? I still think Trump's going to.
Well, I beg to differ. But, can you believe Pat Robertson's 90 years old? It's starting to look like it. But anyway, there we are, ladies and gentlemen. I will be back with you on Tuesday. I'll try not to be as agitated, depending on the news. There's some clips I didn't play that I wanted to play today. I'll play them then. I started the day a little under the weather. I didn't even think I was going to be here, but I felt it was important to be here because I am the other side of talk. And when I'm on the radio, I'm the other side of talk radio. I can't say there is a chance that I will be returning to the airwaves. I can't say specifically right now. I'm going to push a little harder on this. I've had this dangling in front of me for over a month, and I know you shouldn't talk about things like that until they're a done deal, but I need an answer. I can find sponsors and I can get on if that's what we need, because there's more than one side to this. And this nonstop Trump TV bullcrap that the local talk radio station has turned into is ridiculous. Because please don't lift up these conspiracies. It's wrong. I'm just checking. See, I do have a show following me, so I guess I got to get out of here. I want to thank Mario for making things run very smooth today compared to the other day. And I want to thank those of you who participated. And DL, I hope I feel better too. And thanks for saying it's a nice show. And I'm Mo Ray saying, as I always do, keep your eyes on the prize.
Thank you for listening to this show on Youngstown Studio. If you like our programming, we invite you to subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow our Facebook page, or subscribe to your favorite podcast platform like iTunes or Spotify. This is original Youngstown content, and we would appreciate you sharing the videos and the word about us. Thank you.